Another day, another video about the Vancouver Canucks' top goal scorer this year, Andrei Kuzmenko. Because yesterday, against the San Jose Sharks, he scored himself yet another goal. He's up to 35 on the year, and we talked about this in the last video, but Kuzmenko and his goal production this season, this is literally the best goal scorer the Canucks have had on their roster since Daniel Sedin and Ryan Kesler in 2010-2011, because the Canucks haven't had a player score 35 goals for them in a season since Daniel and Kess. It's been over a decade, and now Kuzmenko, as a first-year player, has come in and done this. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because with the goal a few games ago, you had yourselves actually a pretty significant Canucks record that was broken, and it's one that I didn't really think we would ever see broken, but, you know, I guess technicalities all aside, this is indeed the record-shattering player that the Canucks have brought onto their squad. Obviously, we are talking about the most goals scored by a Vancouver Canuck player in their first year in the NHL. Now, that's a pretty particular way of putting it, but if you look at the Canucks record books, you will notice that PAVEL Bure was actually the guy who had held this record before as a member of the Vancouver Canucks back in the early 90s. In his rookie season, PAVEL Bure had himself 34 goals, and guess what? Kuzmenko has 35. The problem with making the comparison directly one-for-one is that, hey, PAVEL Bure was, how old was he? He was born in 1971. That season was 1991-92, so he was 21 years old-ish when PAVEL Bure made his debut. Kuzmenko is 27, so not the same in terms of the magnitude of talent at their age range, but Andrei Kuzmenko still going out there and doing what he is doing is nothing short of spectacular, surprising, it is awesome, it is all of these things. And just being this good, this quickly, as a first-year NHL player, it's pretty good. Of course, the record here is most goals by a Canucks player in their first NHL season, and the reason it's worded like that is because you've had a few Canucks guys that have made their debuts on the team and scored more goals, like McGillney comes to mind. That's the one that popped into my head right away. He was a Buffalo Sabres legend, and then he went over to Vancouver and he had a 50-goal season. What about that? So, obviously, there's a lot of nuance to these types of statistics, but PAVEL Bure's record has finally been broken and matched by a guy in Kuzmenko who still has like 10 games left to go in the regular season, so he could be going out there and putting even more respect on his first NHL season. You also have yourselves the rookie scoring race, that in which Kuzmenko is technically not a part of. If you look at the NHL's rookie points, Matty Beniers is first. He's got 49 points on the season. Wyatt Johnston has 21 goals, and Matias Maccelli has 33 assists. These are all the leaders in the rookie category. Kuzmenko would be first in goals, he would be first in points, and he would be, what is that, third in assists if he was actually qualified for this rookie list. Now, the reason he's not qualified, even though he is technically a rookie, he's a first-year player, is because he's too old. Unfortunately, all the people talking about Kuzmenko and the Calder and this and that, we discussed this back when he was signed, but he's not actually eligible because he is a little bit too old. Now, to help us out, we're going over onto an article on dailyhive.com. Trevor Beggs wrote this out a few weeks ago. Vancouver Canucks forward Andrei Kuzmenko would win the Calder Trophy if he wasn't too old. Now, this is exactly what we're looking for. How close is Kuzmenko to being eligible for the Calder? The rule states that to be considered for the NHL's Rookie of the Year award, a player must not turn 26 before September 15th of the current season. Kuzmenko was born on February 4th, 1996, meaning he was just 7 months too old to be considered a true NHL rookie. Now, had he been born September 15th, 1996, rather than February 4th, he would have been eligible for the trophy, and thus he would have been on the rookie scoring list and all that stuff that we had just talked about. But unfortunately, that is not how the cookie crumbles. He is not a part of the list, but it still does not take away from how impressive he has been this year. Now, he also is shooting at a 25% shooting percentage, which is just insane, but when you really think about it, like, Kuzmenko is such a unique type of player that the Canucks haven't really had in a long time, wherein he is almost always in the right place at the right time. He gets a lot of tip goals, he gets a lot of rebound, deflection goals out in front, he's got brilliant hands, and when you put the puck on his stick in front of a goaltender in the slot, he knows how to manipulate everybody and beat him out. He's a talented player who just doesn't take any BS low-danger shots. He always makes the good play, and it usually results in success, hence all the goals that he has been scoring. I mean, if he goes out there next season and drops off to maybe like a 12% shooting percentage, his shooting percentage cuts in half, let's just say, then still, the guy is at, 17 goals instead of 34 like he's at right now? Or 35, excuse me? Like, that's still a pretty good season, and I think for a lot of Canucks fans, expecting 30 would have been absolute bonkers bananas type of territory. If you had said to anybody, hey, Kuzmenko's gonna get 30 goals next season, they would have called you nuts. If you said this back in September, that is. Like, everybody was talking about the transition from KHL ice to NHL ice, the smaller ice surface, the faster game, the more complete competition, and the lack of time and space compared to the KHL. But Kuzmenko has seemed to have improved more so than get affected by this in a negative way. It's kind of strange, isn't it? And I know you could definitely bring up that conversation that we've had before. Oh, the Canucks should have traded him away. He's so good. He would have been so cheap. He's young enough that you could justify building around him. So why not trade him to a playoff contender, get a whole bunch of picks and stuff in return? But this is kind of the thing, dude. I still thoroughly believe that the Vancouver Canucks are going to try to make that cap work with other players that they can still ship out. They still have Besser, they still have Garland, they could maybe trade Myers because that salary for 2023-2024 in real cash is not all too high. Who knows if there's an OEL buyout on the horizon? Who really knows what the plan is here? But Kuzmenko is so valuable that just keeping him around, I think, is not terrible, especially when you consider that he is young enough to continue building around, especially with Elias Pettersson playing as his center. They've been so dynamite together, and even with Beauvillier, man, just seeing the chemistry there, it's pretty good. There was a Canucks video on their Twitter. I know it was on their Twitter. I'm not sure if it was on their YouTube, but they posted a mic'd up video of Beauvillier from the Dallas game, and you had a whole bunch of conversations between Beauvillier and Kuzmenko on the bench where they're kind of disagreeing a little bit, and Kuzmenko was telling Beauvillier, hey, please open up the left side when I'm behind the net, or when I'm forechecking, I want you to do this, and Beauvillier's kind of talking back, not like angrily, not arguing. They're not arguing. They're just kind of discussing what happened, and Beauvillier's saying, okay, but I did it because like this, and then Kuzmenko's like, yeah, but you also do it because of this, and like, their dynamic is so fun. It's awesome, honestly, just to see that Kuzmenko is meshing really well. It seems like Beauvillier is meshing well too. PD kind of gets in a little bit on the joking around in that video clip. Of course, that's just one game out of 82, so it's fair to bring up the idea that maybe that's not indicative of the entire dynamic between Kuzmenko and this team. But still, the guy's got 35 goals. What else do you want? He's bubbly, he's got that personality, the media loves him, the kids love him here in Vancouver. They're trading bananas for sticks and all that. It's kind of cool. But at the end of the day, the Vancouver Canucks have themselves a very talented hockey player here. And it's so good that he is still on pace to besting out that Daniel Sedin and Ryan Kessler year in 2010-2011. Knock on wood, everything goes right for him towards the end of the season. But yeah, he's on pace for 41 goals now. He just needs a multi-goal game, man. Just get a multi-goal game in the last 11 games of the season, and he should be on his way to doing really well against that record. But either way, if he breaks it or not, if he at least gets up to maybe 39 or whatever, then that'd be pretty good as a rookie season. I mean, imagine if he actually gets 40 goals out of Andrei Kuzmenko in your first NHL season. Like, I know expectations are going to be pretty high after that, but come on, man, that sounds pretty fun. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Andrei Kuzmenko, the Pavel Bure first-year NHL player Canucks record being broken for goals in a season. Obviously, Bure was one of the best Canucks, or he was probably the most talented Canuck when it comes to pure talent at their peak of all time. One of the best players of all time, but yeah, Andrei Kuzmenko had him beat with 6-7 years on him as well. But either way, thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.